Blog
Good morning.
Radio.
Good morning. It's Thursday, and you've reached Venus Unplugged. This is your host, Llorraine Neithardt, and this is your virtual reality love programs at the Virtual Heartbreak Hotel. So what we're discussing here and exploring is all things of the heart, of Venus, of beauty, of psyche. And for the next couple of weeks and 2 previous weeks, I'm talking about dreams, the potency, the language of the unconscious, the language of psyche. You know, dreams, they operate below as well as above the surface of the conscious mind. So there is a language, and what I'm encouraging is first the attitude or the etiquette towards your dream, the sacred text. There are some beliefs that there is a dreaming angel. Your guardian angel is actually giving you these images. We're working on the work of Carl Jung and his belief and teachings around the dreams and what they mean, the sacred text of the soul. One important thing, all things that have to do with the soul are important, but of course this is of supreme importance. Be careful who you tell your dreams to, because it's a cryptic code. It's an encoding. So, you know, when you have a big dream, of course, one can get, there's many kinds of dreams, right, which I'll go into, but if we tell the wrong person, it's giving a piece of the sacred. You know, it's better to kind of be still, find 1 or 2 people, or develop a group or something where you can explore and discover or work with, archetypal dream person to understand your dreams. Or, you know, you can work through the language yourself. But the first thing is to give it a place of honor. And as in Jung's Red Book, where he did all these amazing drawings of his images, you know, Jung's work on the imagination and the profundity of the imagination. Now, the imagination is not something we make up. The imagination is a creative force within us. Magus. People who are involved in magic are using their magical imagination to manifest in the world. Boy, that was a lot of M's, like that one. Okay, so today I want to actually talk about the archetypes in the dreams. All right, so we're going to find a sacred book, what I do is I write them down first because I want it to go through my nervous system, also because I can't function. And the more we honor the dream time. Now, if you don't get an image, that's cool. It's all right. Just take 2 minutes to be still and go like, wow, I feel heavy in my body, before you get up and start running, okay? Or you can have a tape recorder next to you and just kind of mumble your dreams, which is always interesting. It's almost like a sacred poem coming out of you that you don't even recognize. Or just write down a feeling, a first impression, a color. It's like going to kindergarten. Psyche's kindergarten. And as you begin to, it's like meditation. So when you first do meditation, you have monkey mind, and you're all over the place. And then little by little, you can still that mind. Well, it's the same with the dream time, which is a time beyond time and space. So you're accessing your own unconscious and the collective unconscious. So this is pretty cool stuff. And it's real. It's very, very real. So in the dream, or what Jung refers to in the dream, so I had explained that, you know, the dream is like a play. It has the opening statement, and then it starts to build in the crescendo, and then we start to see the tension, and then very often a resolution. The last sentence in the dream is the resolution, okay? But dreams sometimes come in clusters. One dream can relate to another dream. So it's a very complex and fascinating and cryptic and sacred language So just decide that you're somewhere between here and eternity. Be still and write down the sacred, because there will come an aha moment. And even if it's just the moment of how much you love the creative imagination and factor in you that is creating your destiny, that is participating. We don't do it. These invisible forces do it. They help us. They aid us. They are the aids of fate and destiny. This is one big happening, universal, beyond time and space. So the respect that we can have for, and that can be, too, just being able to practice being in a state of mystery or in a state of awe. Sometimes I'll write down a dream, and it's not because it's such a colossal dream. I'm just in awe. Who's dreaming this? Who's making this stuff up? Who's showing me? Certainly not me. I mean, I take responsibility that it's coming through me, but that's astounding. I mean, we can have a dream, just a dream, let's say, of a cat, and a cat is the divine feminine. So the condition that the cat is in, and I'm going to go over some archetypal universal symbols so people can have a little bit of a catch. So this is your own internal mystery, and that's how you approach it, with respect, with fun, with insight. As I said, you can read books on it. It's just infinite. All right. So according to the Jungian work, the symbols, that there are some processes, there are universal meanings for all men, and he turns this phenomenon, he calls it the collective unconscious. So this is what, as in humanity, we all have these archetypes. And I'm just going to name 7 of them. There are more, but, there's only so much we can do in a half an hour. So these symbols, they're believed to occur in every culture, right, in history. And Jung identifies 7 such symbols in what he refers to as the major archetypal characteristics. Now, the persona, that's the image you present to the world in your waking life. So that's like, for people who are into astrology, that's the rising sign. And it's your public mask. In the dream world, the persona is represented by the self. That's with a capital S. All right. The self may or may not resemble you physically, or be or may not behave as you would. For example, the persona can appear as a scarecrow or a beggar in your dream. However, you still know that this person is you in the dream. Or sometimes I'll get this eerie, I call it the eerie other. It's like, wow, why does that feel so vaguely true of me? Although I don't recognize the behavior because it's not how I see myself. But it's there because you are your dream. Everything you dream is an aspect of you. That's the astounding part. And that's why it takes a healthy ego to be able to look at these things, because when your shadow starts showing up, believe me, that's the last thing people want to deal with. And what they really don't want to deal with is when the goal shows up. They can deal with the shadow usually, like, okay, I got to work on that. But when that golden divine child shows up, they freak. But that's part of the fun of all of this great high adventure. You are the creatrix of this high adventure every night. Every night. You're being kissed and guided by the divine. Okay? Now, the shadow, that's the rejected part, and that's the repressed aspects of yourself. It's the part of yourself that you do not want the world to see because it's ugly or unappealing, or at least you think it is. Okay? If we were raised a certain way, let's say it's shameful to be naked. So then you have a dream you're in a nudist colony. Sometimes it's mocking, because here people are incredibly comfortable with their naked body. They feel that being in a nudist colony is more like being in art school, and it's quite marvelous, but you may have shame towards that. And the nakedness can also be telling the naked truth. No sentimentality and no pity, which is a challenge. To have no sentimentality and no pity, but yet be kind and compassionate in your delivery. Okay, so a dream of nakedness can indicate that. Where do you need to pare it down? What's true in your bones? We're born naked, so it's a birth image too. Sometimes, the shadow can represent a weakness or fear or anger. In the dream, the figure is represented by the stalker, the murderer, a bully, or a pursuer. It can be a frightening figure or even a close friend or relative. The appearance often makes you angry or leaves you scared. So the shadow figure, they force you to confront things that you don't want to see or hear. You must learn to accept the shadowy aspects of yourself, for its messages are often for your own good, even though it may not be immediately apparent. So the shadow shows up as the same sex as the dreamer. Women will dream of women, men will dream, in case of a woman comes in and she's really mean and yelling, okay? So that doesn't mean that you're being victimized. It may need to say that you need to get, you need to get some righteous rage going. I love one of the stories with Jung where he was being interviewed and they asked if he believed in shock treatment. And he said, yes, he believed in it, but the humankind. And he said, when somebody's really being, too negative, he'll just give them a good, healthy growl, a good roar. But, of course, he was a lion, he was a Leo, so he could roar. He'd just growl at somebody, and then they'd kind of calm it down. Now we have the anima and animus, okay? The anima is the female and the male aspects of yourself. Remember, everything in the dream is an aspect of yourself. It may have some truth. Psyche will draw from your world images, okay, or people or traits, but it's referring to you. That's why we need to be very loving and compassionate and just write it down and as if we're reading a great epic tale, which you are. It's your inner epic tale. So everyone possesses both feminine and masculine qualities. In dreams, the anima appears as a highly feminized figure, while the animus appears as a hyper-masculine form. Or the dream, you may be dressed in, if you're a man, you may be, you're dressed in woman's clothing. If you are a male, and then you might grow a beard if you're a female, and you're like, what the heck is that about? And it's showing you may need some more masculine energy. The dream images appear depending on how well you were able to integrate the feminine and masculine qualities within yourself. They serve as a reminder that you must learn to acknowledge or express masculine or be more assertive, or feminine side, be more emotional, more related. It's not emotional, it's related. So in a dream, if there's a woman and she's being really hyper aggressive and unrelated, which can be a shadow aspect of the dreamer, and saying you have a right to your rage, bring consciousness, bring awareness to the rage, but to not do it in an unrelated, forceful manner. The feeling value is authentic and valuable. The way that you're doing it, or you could be so angry at yourself because you didn't express. You can always go back. That ship didn't necessarily sail. And if you can't go back to the situation, you can go back and rework it within yourself so that you can have resolution. Because the dream can be indicating is you opened yourself to being hurt. Now, you may not be able in the outer world to get, let's say you have an argument with a friend, somebody projects their shadow onto you. There's really not too much you can do about that. You're being tarred and feathered by their projection. The last thing you can say is, that's a projection. So you can disengage. You can't correct that, especially when somebody is in the midst of an archetypal seizure. And they make up all sorts of stuff. Now, there may be a little bit of truth in it, but then they just get carried away. You need to step back, and so you may have a dream, which is called a compensation. A dream is compensating for the fact that in the outer world you've been tarred and feathered by somebody else's shadow projection. They see, their own shadow in you because they can't carry it. Now, when there's consciousness amongst people, you can say, do me a favor, I really need you to do the shadow dance for me. I really need to project this onto you. I need to understand what it looks like and what it's about, and then I'll take it back, and then it's cool. All right? And in the dream world, we look at it too. It's like, oh, wow. Now, there's always gold in the shadow. It's never useless. It's never a criticism. It's showing you where the gold is, but it's coming in that form. It's shadow because it's also unconscious. There's no images, conscious images in it. There's plenty of energy. So in the dream, in the anima and the animus. So if a male's coming in a female's dream, and let's say he's being cruel. So then you need to look and say, okay, where am I listening to the negative animus that's being cruel, that's really not helping me? The positive animus is the one that guides us to be in life in a positive way. Who says, these are your rights, this is what you can do, you can speak for yourself. But the negative animus just makes us harpies. And we get all emotional and crazy over something, and we can't even express ourselves in a way that we can relate. Or it can indicate that you're in a relationship where it's actually abusive, but you're so used to being abused. But the dream will say, hey, no, that's abusive. And we see it in a dream. That's the negative animus. And it's the negative animus in us that is open or attracting, these kind of psychic vampires. There's no judgment on it. We're just seeing how the story unfolds. Once we can begin to see, like, whoa, look at this. What is that about? What is that? With compassion and with love, because this is the kaleidoscope of the soul. We then can begin to correct it within ourselves, which is what the Heartbreak Hotel is about. It's about helping us understand that the internal world is informing the external world. We change that, or we relate to it in a different way. Or very often we can have abusive relationships externally just because we have abusive relationships internally. We don't even realize it. So if that's what we think it is, that's what we want. We don't know that. We don't even know that we have choice. We haven't even named these things. That's part of what the Heartbreak Hotel is about also, is helping people to name these profound energies and forces that are going on inside of us. Now, I know at first it feels like bouncy, like, okay, who's on first, who's on second? But little by little, as I said, just listen to these podcasts. Just let it flow over you. Psyche will pick it up. Your soul knows. That's why this is your soul's half an hour. It's listening. It's like, yes, rock on. Tell them, please. I'm here. Now, then we have the divine child, okay? And the divine child is the true self in its purest form. It not only symbolizes your innocence and your sense of vulnerability and your helplessness, but it also represents your aspirations and full potential. You are open to all possibilities. In the dreamscape, this figure is represented by a baby or a young child. Many years ago, I had a dream, and I was walking, and you never give birth to your own divine child. You find it. It's called the Wunderchild, the wonder child. So the divine child isn't just the purest innocence. It's like we see in so many religious mythologies and stories. There's always these extraordinary conditions that these children are born under. And usually at some point, you find this divine child in your dream. I had a dream many years ago, and I'm walking along, and it's kind of like a flower patch, and suddenly I find this gigantic infant. I'm like, what? And it's just sitting there. But it has this ancient face and these ancient eyes. And it just starts to talk to me. And it's like, well, what am I supposed to do with you? And it was like, well, you're supposed to care for me. It's like, oh, okay. And I did, and I do. Now I have the Von Trapp family because there's a bunch of them. A bunch of them came in. And they're different aspects of me that I didn't know anything about. But because this work is my devotion, on this side of reality, I make it real. I know each one of those children, what their traits are, what they're capable of, their shadow and their light, their boo-boos. And as the mother of these divine children, I tend to them. Once I rewrote the 10 Commandments for the inner child, and the first commandment was they didn't have to be good to have my love. Boy, that freed them. So the divine child will show up as an infant, as you'll just find it. It will just be there. Or you may find a wounded infant. So then you need to know, okay, I got to really put some libido and love into my inner child. Because it's the birth of the holiness in you. Because the divine child can be the wounded side of us, okay, and its complete opposite, which is it's the Holy of Holies. That's pretty amazing. Why is the birth of great messiahs and prophets and, why? What is it always about so magical about their birth? Because the same thing's happening to you. You have a divinity in you. It is that child. So, of course, I'm just going over the surface of these. Each one of these archetypes are very deep and can take you your entire life, but what the hell? We're somewhere between here and eternity. Then we can have the wise old man or woman, and that's the helper in your dreams. And it can be represented by a teacher or a father, a doctor, priest, or some unknown authority figure. They serve to offer guidance and words of wisdom. They appear in your dream to steer and guide you in the right direction. So someone will come and just say, make a left. It's like, make a left? What the hell does that mean? So the left, okay, is we go back into the unconscious. The left is, right is it's a right-handed world, okay. But it's saying, okay, do it. Go down the road less traveled. Just don't go the collective way, the right-handed way. Do something a little differently. Find your own way. So the path may be a little crooked. It's untrodden, but that's okay. That's the right for you. All right, so it's wonderful, and as I said, you may have a cluster of dreams. Also, when women dream when they're on their moon, okay, when they have their period, tend to be more prophetic. There's many types of dreams, which I'll get into. But here we go. Now we got, and then we have the Great Mother. Isn't there always the Great Mother? She's the nurturer, and the Great Mother appears in your dreams as your own mother, your grandmother, or a nurturing figure. Now, that's not always true because not everybody has a nurturing mother. Sometimes she's as the dark mother. So if you didn't have a mother who nurtured, or very often, we can incarnate into a mother who it's just not a match. She doesn't get you, you don't get her. So anything that she would even seem as right could rub you the wrong way, okay? So she provides you with the positive reinsurance. Now, negatively, they may be depicted as a witch or an old bag lady, in which case they can be associated with seduction or dominance or death. This juxtaposition is rooted in the belief by some experts that the real mother, who is the giver of life, is also the same time the jealous mother of our, and we need to grow away from her. So in dreams, there can be the personal mother, there can be the archetypal mother. We do not take the dream literally. You know, when you have the dream that your beloved has been unfaithful and then you wake up and you want to kill him. Not true. It means somewhere within you, you are being unfaithful to yourself. You use the schnook who's sleeping next to you as the deviant one, when in fact the first thing you question, how am I being unfaithful to myself? Unless you got some proof, but it's usually not that. Okay, then we've got the trickster. Now the trickster is the lie in the truth and the truth in the lie. The trickster may appear in your dream when you have overreached or misjudged a situation. Okay? Or he could find himself in your dream when you are uncertain about a decision or about what you want to go, where you want to go in life. The trickster also makes you feel uncomfortable or embarrassed, sometimes mocking you and exposing you to your vulnerabilities. He may also take on subtle forms, sometimes as an ever-changing shape, like a shapeshifter. And there are times when the dream will mock you. You know, you may have an external kind of prudish idea. So, it will give you a dream of this chaos and random madness, and you wake up like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. It's like, well, maybe you need to lose a little control and let things flow. So the archetypal dreams, they're also referred to as mythic dreams, great dreams, or grand dreams, and they usually occur at significant times or transitional times in your life. They often leave you with a sense of awe that you've learned something important about yourself. And even if you can't interpret the dream, you can hold on to that feeling. Wow. Don't give it away. Don't say, that dream must be about somebody else because, I can't dance. It's like, if you're dancing in the dream, it's saying let that energy, dancing and music in the dream, represents emotions and feeling. Let them play. They're harmonic in some form or another. They need to live. Everything needs to live and needs expression. And the more we work with these invisible forces and this symbolic language, the more we're going to be able to understand this kind of cosmic quality that is with us all the time. And that's important because in some ways you're never outside of the dream. You are being dreamed and you are dreaming. So that's important to begin to understand. Now, just to go over a few more, there's daydreams. Okay, so the daydream, there's many forms of dreaming. In one way, we're never outside of it. So the daydreams are, they say that people daydream about an hour and a half a day. Oh, and a daydream, the English lady has spoken, and then there's lucid dreams and nightmares and recurring dreams and prophetic dreams and epic dreams and progressive dreams and mutual dreams. So we'll go over that next week. So have a glorious week. Go on my website, LlorraineNeithardt.com, and I'll be starting a blog, and we'll eventually be putting the archives, the blog talk that are not on Blog Talk Radio anymore. So there we go. Have a glorious day and week, and till we meet again. Bye-bye.
Progressive presents Mindfulness with Flow.
You are a mighty fortress of supreme knowledge. Progressive Direct has not only revealed their rates, but those of their competitors. If you were any more in the know, you would be drowning in, the know.
Compare Progressive Direct rates with competitors' rates, because knowledge is power. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.